Who here was once 9 years old? Weren't we cute? I'm 9 and I'm watching what I can recall my first ever football match. Shh, some of you here might even call it soccer. It's the USA 94 FIFA World Cup, Ireland versus Italy. And even though a single goal by Ray Hatton decided the fate of the game, 1-0 to the jubilant Irish, I fell in love with Roberto Baggio's Italy. I fell in love with the atmosphere, the crowds, the chants. I still have the tournament's official song playing in my head until this very day. But more than all of that, I fell in love with the patterns. I fell in love with the stats. I knew exactly what the players do with the ball, without the ball, the most exotic stats that you don't even see on the telly. And you know how, as children, we make up all these games that we play with our friends in the neighborhood? Well, me and my mates, we created made-up stats for fake leagues that never existed, whether it was video games or kicking a ball. Sometime we didn't even have a ball, so we just kicked around a lid of a bottle. And that obsession never left me, which makes me wonder, who here played professional sport before? All right, a few. Okay. And how many of you here at the present are training these days 5 or 6 hours a day doing exactly that? Thought so. Now, these are not trick questions to trick you guys, but as someone who spent 18 years as a sport journalist, 2 cricket World Cups, a football World Cup, car racing, and more, I've been around, I've been getting for years inside the minds of the elite performers, the people who are at the top of the game. And I still hit rock bottom. The signs were there before that football World Cup, but I chose to ignore them, do what most of people would do, just get on with it. I had a tournament to cover, for goodness sake. And it was only after the final whistle, a few months after, that everything blew out completely. And what was followed is 3 years of burnout, on and off, without any visible end in sight, until a fateful day in July 2021. I still remember this day. My previous business had collapsed. I was carrying around years of anger and sadness that I hadn't even acknowledged, definitely did not process. And I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and I was asking myself this one question: is this really who I want to become? And that question made me think again about everything. And from that moment, because guess what? Before that, I tried things. I talked to people, I read all the books, but I was tiptoeing on the edges of my own life. And in that moment, there was no tiptoeing anymore. No. I went all in. I call it doubling up. No double down. There's no gambling here, no roll of the die. A conscious decision, the most deliberate decision that I ever made in my entire life. And things started moving real fast from that moment. Not gradually, real fast. So I started decluttering, not my house, although that came too later, but decades and decades of negative emotions and limiting beliefs that were shaping who I am and what I've become. And I started paying attention to that voice inside the box, inside my head, that critical, that doubting voice that's been there all that while. That self-talk, it's automated. It's a habit. It's automated exactly like driving your car or like brushing your teeth. Like, you roll into your bathroom, half asleep, still with your eyes half closed, and you're brushing your teeth like that. I don't suppose that anyone here thinks to themselves, oh, today I'm going to brush my teeth like that. Or today I'm going to brush my teeth like that. No, nobody does that because it's automated. That's what self-talk is. It runs on autopilot. And I started listening to it probably for the very first time. I made a choice, a new record. I matter, I am valuable. And the most important one, I trust myself. And you know how when you make big changes, things start rolling like real fast? You start seeing things you would not notice before. You start meeting people that you would otherwise not meet before. I came across someone who was living the sort of life that stopped me at my tracks. But it's not because of her accomplishments, and it's not because of a status or title. It was because who she was being in the world, happy, free, traveling with her dog. So I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand how. And probably for the first time in a while, I made a decision to pay attention, to decode what the people whose life I want to believe in are doing, the way they were thinking, their beliefs. I decoded the way they're thinking, their beliefs, their actions, the habits they were building behind the scenes. And it took me back to all those 18 years that I spent watching the world's elite, the people who are best in the world, the people who are not only getting to the top, but also stay there. And what do they do differently, the elite athletes, the elite performers? If you think they rely on motivation or willpower or their talent or even their genes, think again. They don't need to be up for it on game day, and they definitely don't take a chance. They rely on patterns. They rely on systems. They automate their habits. And I didn't even realize it. Thinking again, back on that fateful day in July, the decision that I made that day and what is set in motion, I was automating my habits like the top elite athletes that I've observed for 18 years, and I didn't even know. I double up and my commitments were made automatic. I decluttered my old stories and my thinking was made automatic. And I decoded from the people whose life I want to be living, and my environment was made automatic. 3 simple things that just ran on autopilot, automated. Now the irony isn't lost on me. For 18 years, I spent time watching the world's elite, the best in the world, and talking to them and being right there with them. And this pattern, this framework, was right there in front of my very eyes all along. I just hadn't applied to my own life. But luckily, you do not need 18 years. And you definitely do not need the perfect start. Oh boy, and let me tell you, you definitely do not need the World Cup stadium. Are you still tiptoeing? You need just one decision. That sort of decision that rewrites what runs on autopilot. That sort of decision that rewires what everything runs inside your head, because all of those things that were running on autopilot ever so far, the doubt, the hesitation, the tiptoeing, they were never meant to be there permanently. They were always meant to be replaced by something bigger and better. You too can automate your habits, double up, declutter, decode, because you either run your habits or your habits run you. Thank you.